This video is to show you how to download printed circuit board files from my website and then print them off for your own use to making circuit boards. So if you go to bigclive.com, you'll see there's a new menu option here called PCB Files and Software. If you click that, it will take you to a dedicated page which is divided into two sections, the PCB files and software. Now the software at the moment, the only bit of software that's up at the moment is Icicle Hex file, which is for the sort of the snowing icicle effect. That will be featured in an upcoming project. It might not make much sense on its own at the moment. However, the bit we're interested in at the moment is PCB files. So we need two things here. We need the viewer for them, which is the PCB viewing and printing software, and whichever file you want. At the moment I've got the test grid for calibrating your printer, a Tupper light, which is basically a small 6 LED light that runs off a lithium cell, and the Nixie flower lamp, which was featured in a recent project on my website. So if you want to download the printed circuit board file, right-click the desired file and save link as, and it will then let you save that as a layout file. However, to download the printed circuit board viewing and printing software, you're going to have to click this link up here, and that'll take you to Abacom's website, particularly the Sprint Layout 6 page. And if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you will find a link to the download viewer for Sprint Layout 6. So if you download that onto your desktop and then start that up, you'll get a screen that looks like this. Initially, you'll get just a language option. I think it's French, German, and English. So just choose your desired language. And every time you start it up, it just comes up with this sort of intro box. So just click OK to get rid of that. Go up to File at the top left-hand corner and click File and then Open, and then choose from either your desktop or wherever you've stored the files, choose the printed circuit board layout you want to view and print. So in this case, we'll choose Test Grid Layout. So select it and then Open. And you can right-click to zoom out and left-click to zoom in this. But that's how the printed circuit board file will look. Well, that's how it looks when I develop it. But if you want to print it off, go up to the File box again and select Print. When you select Print, you get how it's going to appear on the page when you print it out. And you can drag this anywhere. You can just click and grab it and pull it about anywhere, which is quite good because it lets you optimize the more expensive printing films if you use fairly specialized printing materials. If you click Center up here, it will just automatically center it in the middle of the frame, which is what I often do. You'll also notice at the top left hand here that you've got a number of option boxes, only one of which is available, and that's the C2 actually means copper layer 2 because that's the only layer that's actually used in this printed circuit board design. And you'll also see this little black box, which is just a color palette box. If you click it, it lets you choose a color palette, but for printing out on your printer, you want jet black. To calibrate your printer, or to set your printer up in the first place, click Setup, and that will let you choose which printer you're going to use. In my case, I'm using an Epson printer, and if I go into Properties, what I'd normally do here is I'd then choose the type of paper, or I'd choose a shortcut, which is something I've usually got set up. I've not got it on this computer, but it prints the densest layer of ink. It was through experimentation, the densest layer of ink with the highest saturation. It really was just the color settings all just rammed up to their max. But once you've selected your printer and your desired printing density, you can then print it off. When you've printed it off, you'll see that the grid is divided into 1-inch squares, and it's a sort of metric grid, so to speak. It's 10th-inch segments. If you measure it with a ruler and it's not exactly the correct size, I mean, there's a modest tolerance. It doesn't matter if it's just maybe I was going to say a millimetre off, but of course we're talking inches, so a 20th of an inch off might be a good sort of like balance. But you can go up to Calibrate here, and this lets you calibrate the output to your printer on the x-axis and the y-axis. So you can experiment these values. It's very small adjustments. One is the scale from the printed circuit board package. If you increase it to say 1.5, that would be probably a fairly significant increase in the size. So you only want to do it in very small increments. Or likewise, if it was printing out too big, you can actually make it 0.95 to make it a percentage of the base size, so you can fine tune it that way. And fundamentally that's it. You can then just print off the file. So looking at another file, if I open it up, and we'll open up the Nixilamp file. So you can just double click that to open it up. So here's the Nixilamp file, and obviously when you print this out, if I go up again to the file to print it out, file, print, it's showing the multiple layers here. Let's just pop that into the middle here. So it's showing the red layer, which is the screen print layer, screen print 1. And if you want to turn that off, you can just click S1 in this box up here, and it will just disable that layer. So you've just got this copper 2 layer. You've got a couple of other options here. You've got the grid and the info line. The grid is just this sort of blue grid that on the outside. It's just to help you line things up on your screen. You can also invert this if you want by using the mirror function, and the info line at the bottom, which just tells you the information about the file, can be disabled or enabled, just whichever you want really. Probably if you're printing it out onto the sort of materials you want to make your exposure from, you probably want to disable that line, just so it's not printing into areas that you might not actually have material. Other things you can do, you can tile. If you select tile and you tell it the number you want, maybe 2 by 2, it will then create multiple copies of that image for printing out. So it's just useful if you wanted to make a multiple. Or ultimately, sometimes it's better just to print off the one and then make multiple copies of that one later on the printed circuit boards. But that's the gist of it. That's basically what's involved in printing these files off.